When? I'm not getting any younger. I need a child. A son preferably. Someone to ascend my throne when I'm gone.
Once upon a time, in a well-developed village called Umuto, there lived a king named Akpeguma, a strong and generous ruler, known and loved far and wide for his kindness. He believed that all humans were equal in the eyes of the Creator and treated everyone, rich or poor, with fairness and compassion. This made the people of Umuto and neighboring villages love him dearly. Despite his greatness, King Akpeguma had one sorrow in life. He had 7 wives, but none had borne him a child. Troubled by this, the king visited numerous herbalists and native doctors in search of a solution. Some told him he would have a child when the time was right, others consoled him with, "God's time is the best." But these words gave the king little comfort. When he would ask, "I am not getting any younger. I need a child, a son, preferably someone to ascend my throne when I am gone." Some of the doctors tried to reassure him, while others told him to be patient. One evening, King Akpeguma sat on his throne, overwhelmed by confusion and pain. Thoughts stormed his mind. "Am I impotent?" he asked himself. "No," he answered firmly. "I can't be. I am not." That evening, when his wives brought food to the palace, he refused it. "I need a child, a son, not your food," he snapped angrily. His heart was heavy with sorrow. Shamed and saddened, the wives walked away with their foods. The king neither ate nor slept in any of their rooms that night. He paced the palace, muttering, "Am I the first man to marry 7 wives? Why is this happening to me?" Tears welled in his eyes. Then, one fateful day, the weather was bright, and the air cool. King Akpeguma stood outside his palace, pacing like a restless goat. Suddenly, a spirit from the evil forest appeared in form of an old woman. She could see the deep yearning in the king's heart, a yearning not just for anything, but for something of his own kind. She approached the king and said, "Your wives will all become pregnant on the same day and will give birth on the same day." The king was both overjoyed and confused. Before he could ask further questions, the old woman turned and disappeared. Weeks later, the king discovered that all 7 of his wives were indeed pregnant. He was thrilled. He summoned his villagers and others from neighboring lands to celebrate. No one missed the occasion. The people loved their king. When it neared time for the births, King Akpeguma instructed his wives to return to their parents' homes to deliver. "I can't take care of you all during childbirth here," he said. They packed their belongings, and his bodyguards escorted them through the river bend. Weeks later, they all gave birth. But something strange happened. Each wife gave birth to a different, unusual item. Months passed, and the king requested that all his wives return home on the same day. They met at the river bend. But something was off. The last wife stood carrying a baby, while the others carried nothing. Their hearts were filled with jealousy. They smiled at her and pretended joy, touching the baby and saying, "Your child is beautiful." But deep down, they were envious. Suddenly, a boat arrived. As they traveled back to the palace, the senior wife, in secret collaboration with the others, seized the baby from the last wife and threw him into the river. When she tried to dive in after him, they held her back and warned, "Don't try it. If you say a word, we'll kill you." The poor woman cried bitterly. Her heart was broken. When they returned to the palace, the king was shocked to see no children with them. He questioned each wife. "Where is your child?" he asked the senior wife. With tears in her eyes, she replied, "I gave birth to a yam." "Take it inside," the king said. "We'll use it to make pounded yam." The second wife said, "I gave birth to potash." "Take it inside," he replied, angry. The third wife said, "I gave pea." "Take it inside, we'll cook with it." The fourth said, "Native soap." "Take it inside, we'll wash our clothes." The fifth wife said, "I gave birth to alum." "Take it inside, we'll use it to clean snails. The sixth wife said, I gave birth to salt. Salt is useful, said the king. Take it inside. Finally, he turned to the seventh wife, the one who had no reply. She was crying silently. Where is your child? The king asked again. She said nothing. Since you refused to say what happened, you'll remain a maid in this palace forever, he declared. The other wives were delighted by this judgment. The last wife broke into tears but was too afraid to speak. The king walked away in sorrow. His hope had turned to despair. His dreams of an heir were shattered. Years passed. One day, a fisherman from the village reported seeing a young boy who looked exactly like the king wandering near the river every day. The news got to the king. Curious and hopeful, he went with his elders to the river. When they saw the boy, everyone was stunned. The resemblance was undeniable. The boy stared at them, they stared back. Without a word, the king and his elders returned to the palace and summoned all the queens, including the one working as a maid. They began questioning the women, hoping to find the boy's true mother. But each wife claimed the child. He's my son, one said. No, he's mine, shouted another. The king and his elders were bewildered. To solve the matter, one elder proposed an idea. Let us gather all the villagers. Each wife, including the one working as a maid, must prepare a special meal. The boy will choose from the meals. He will know his mother's food. Everyone agreed. The next day, the 6 wives went to the market, buying meat, fish, and every expensive ingredient. The last wife had no money. She went into the bush, picked snails, and plucked wild leaves. She cooked a simple meal with snail, leaves, and oil, no spices, no extras. On the day of the gathering, the entire village assembled. The boy was present, the elders, the king, and all 7 wives were present. Each wife placed their food in the center of the gathering. Go, said one of the elders. Eat from whichever food you wish. The boy approached the meals. He opened the first and said, This isn't my mother's food. He opened the second, he kicked it. The third, he hissed. The fourth, the same. The fifth, no reaction. The sixth, nothing. Then he opened the seventh, the one made with snail and wild leaves. He sat down quietly and ate, devouring the food like a starving child. He even licked the plate. The crowd erupted in joy. They had found the real mother. The 7th wife, the real mother, collapsed to the ground in tears. The boy ran into her arms and hugged her tightly. King Akpoguma joined them. The woman, weeping, finally told him everything that had happened. A spirit appeared and spoke, This is your true wife, the mother of your son. The others are not your wives. They are evil. Then the spirit vanished. The king immediately sent the 6 deceitful queens away from the village. He turned to his true wife. Forgive me, he pleaded. She nodded. The king welcomed her and their son back into the palace, dressed them in royal robes. That day, peace returned to Umuto. The villagers rejoiced. And from then on, the boy, the rightful heir, was known across the land as a child of truth.